Alright, welcome everybody. Good morning. So this is Foundations of Flow. How many of you are newish to the practice? Like less than 5 classes doing flow? Whatever. Okay. Yeah, like the rest of you are teachers, right? That's usually the ratio in this class. So we're working on lunges and warriors today, and that's really good news. That's really good news because I love exploring this topic because generally you get so beat up and so tired by all the chaturangas that when you get to a lunge or to a warrior, it's like, oh, I can relax, right? But really, it's so important to engage the core and to really approach your lunges and warriors actively because that's what's going to help build the strength, but also keep your hips safe, and it will transform your pose. So the goal today is to move. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter on your upper body, so that we can really have the juice to invest into our standing poses. And so let's turn the lights on. The ugly lights on. You know the one, like, notice how, okay, yeah, right, too late. So, here's what I want to show you, and maybe you can come a little bit closer so that you can see. This is like a sloppy warrior one pose. Like, I can stay here forever, like, drinking a beer, or kombucha, right, a little bit more yoga appropriate. Right? And then this is what I look like in an engaged warrior. Like, you really have to come close. Like, I promise I won't bite, but you have to come close so that you can see what a warrior one that's engaged looks like. Because here, I'm just kind of, first of all, I'm relying on the traction of the mat. Like, my mat is a good mat. And so what it does, it kind of holds me together. And so I'm basically, if I were on a slippery surface, my front foot would go all the way forward. My back foot would go all the way back, and I would end up in a, like, James Brown split, right? But here I'm just kind of relying on that traction to kind of stop me from going forward. I'm not doing much else. Most of the pose is in the quads, so if I had like a little biofeedback thing, it would tell you, like, you can actually see, like, this muscle is working, but this muscle is a little bit working, not a whole lot. Okay, so now I'm going to bring the back of the leg into the game. So I'm going to spread through the toes to help connect through the ground. And then I'm going to push down into the heel. Do you guys notice how, you see this? Like the whoosh. You see that? Whoosh. Yeah? With the sound effect combined. So I'm grounding down, and at the same time I'm pulling in. And as I begin to pull in, I have to pull in towards something, right? So the back leg also turns on. So I go whoosh. Yeah? Like the back is also the outer edge of the left foot is pressing down like crazy. And then I start to draw the legs in towards each other. Okay? So this is active, this is sloppy. Active, sloppy. See the difference? Active, okay, and so this is what's going on in the hips. Now, what's going on in the core is you also, like, every pose is a core pose. That's kind of the bad news, but also the good news. Because that means that every pose can strengthen your core. Yeah, you don't have to wait for abdominals to strengthen your core. And so what's happening here is generally, especially in a warrior 2, you can see it, right? Like, people go, and so the ribs flare out, yeah, the butt sticks out, and then some people kind of check themselves in the mirror. Not at this studio. Other studios they do that. It's like a comedy. Okay, so talk about the core. You want to wrap those ribs in like that. So here, I'm going to show you my belly, which I don't really like doing, but I'll do it because I like you. So the ribs, instead of being like this, yeah, the ribs are going to go, see? Do you see this, like, just this rooting down? that happens like towards the lowest abdominals. And so the ribs now are nicely tucked in, but what you don't want to do is overdo it. You don't want to end up in like this situation, right? Where you're completely folded into yourself. So as the ribs fold in, then the shoulders open back, right? So there's this dynamic of opposition between this going in and this opening back. And then the arms are just kind of appendages, you know, like if you have your shoulders in place, your arms will be in place. So finding that external rotation through the shoulders, and then you're good. Okay, I'm not going to hold this anymore.